वासुदेवाय मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपगदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सागररूपात्मकं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणलिता श्रीविशाखान्तांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर गौरभक्त हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So Hare Krishna Prabhu Mataji, thank you for keeping the appointment Krishna today. So we will be discussing two verses from Bhagavad-gītā 12th chapter. It's a new chapter, devotional service, very important chapter. Verse number 1 and 2. Arjunovacha evam satata yuktaye bhaktastvām paryupāsate ye chāpyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjunovacha evam satata yuktaye bhaktastvām paryupāsate ye chāpyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Translation by Jivan Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Verse number 2. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Veshyamano Yemam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddaya Parayopetas Teme Yukta Tamamataha. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Veshamano Yemam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddaya Parayopetas Teme Yukta Tamamataha. Translation by Shri Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of God has said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So this chapter, 12th chapter in Bhagavad-gītā is very, very important. In fact, anybody who starts Bhagavad-gītā, they have to start with 12th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā because it speaks about devotional service in various stages. No? It's a very beautiful chapter. See, in this chapter, 12th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna describes the transcendental science of devotional service. And in the first verse, Arjuna, you saw just now, right? Arjuna asks Krishna, how devotional service is compared to impersonal meditation. So his first question was, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So in the purport, Prabhupada gives 3 points. The first one was, there are 2 classes of transcendentalists, personalists and impersonalists. The second point is, devotion service is the direct way of associating with Krishna, and impersonalism is indirect. And the third point he says is, impersonal meditation is difficult because one cannot perfectly conceive the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. And devotion service is the easiest means for associating with Krishna. So the point is, after taking a beating in this material world for many, many lifetimes, not even in this lifetime, taking a beating in the material world for many, many lifetimes, what does the conditioned soul do? The conditioned soul gets to the point of saying, enough is enough, bahut ho gaya. Then he looks for a way out of these miseries. And 2 roads that promises relief from the cycle of birth and death. One is this impersonalism, And second is devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So two important differences between these two paths are explained in Srila Prabhupada's purport to this verse, in the first verse. See, in verse 10.8, first verse, seed verse, Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna says, I am the source of everything, material and spiritual. So everything emanates from me, right? So this means that the Brahma Jyoti, which is the goal of the impersonalists, right, is one of Krishna's personal features, namely his bodily effulgence. So therefore it is understood that the impersonalists who are trying to situate themselves in that effulgence, they are indirectly in association with Krishna. However, because the impersonal existence requires one to completely negate the demands of the material senses, no? So this state is very difficult to attain. In the purport of second chapter, 62nd verse of Bhagavad-gītā, Prabhupada explains that due to his artificial repression of the senses, artificially trying to suppress the senses, right? Because of that, even a slight thought of sense pleasure, no, it will agitate. It will agitate an impulsionalist to gratify his desires. Whereas for the personalist, the situation is different. Because Krishna personally takes charge, that he attains steadiness in his transcendental loving service. And again, in verse number 9.22, Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna says, Ananya chintayantu mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamiham. What does Krishna say in 9.22? He says, but those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Prabhupada says in the purport, the Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditional life. See, not only Krishna protects the devotees from material fall down, the devotee is also protected by all other devotees. So devotee's path out of material existence is made very easy by Krishna. See, Prabhupada, he always used to, most of you might have read his letters, right? He always used to end his letters to his disciples. Your ever well-wisher. Suhrit, your ever well-wisher, he always. So how much Prabhupada endeavored to advance and protect their Krishna consciousness. He gave all facilities for everyone to quickly reawaken their dormant love for Krishna. So therefore, they are eternally indebted to Srila Prabhupada. The only thing Prabhupada requests in return is that we some or the other sincerely follow the path of Bhakti Yoga, especially by hearing, studying, and chanting the Bhagavad-gītā and Bhagavatam, and also chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So let us all do that, not to the best of our ability. See, it is also explained in Bhagavad-gītā that impersonal Brahman is also subordinate to the complete Supreme Person. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. See, Brahman is more explicitly explained in the Brahma Sutra to be like the rays of the sunshine. That is Brahman, rays of the effulgence, right? So, impersonal Brahman is the shining rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Impersonal Brahman is incomplete realization, incomplete of the absolute truth. Okay, so and so also it is the conception of Paramatma is also not full. That's why in the 15th chapter it shall be seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottama, is above both impersonal Brahman and the partial realization of Paramatma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Satchidananda Vigraha. Brahma Samhita begins in this way, right? Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. Govinda, Krishna, is the cause of all causes. He is the primal cause. And he is the very form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Sat Chit Anand. So impersonal Brahman realization is the realization of the Sat feature, eternity. Eternity feature, that is Sat. Paramatma realization is the relation of Sat Chit, eternal knowledge. But realization of Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, is a realization of all the transcendental features, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Eternity, bliss, knowledge, and bliss. in complete Vigraha form. See, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Krishna had finished explaining about his personal, impersonal, and universal form, no? And he had also described different kinds of devotees and yogis. Then only Arjuna very intelligently asked this first question in Bhagavad-gītā. I mean, 12th chapter, 12.1, which is considered more perfect. No? See, by asking this question, Arjuna is urging Krishna to reveal the topmost yoga. The yoga which has been accepted as topmost by highly qualified rishis like Asita, Devala, Vyasa. The yoga which has been debated upon by impersonalists since time immemorial. See, the confusion of which yoga to follow has been very aptly cleared by Krishna as an answer to Arjuna's question. And that yoga is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is only selfless yoga which directs from self-centeredness towards pure love for Krishna. See, there will not a tinge of selfishness is seen in pure devotees. As it is very rightly said, devotees, they don't hanker for even mukti. Many are of opinion that getting rid of birth and death cycle means mukti. So devotees hanker only for the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And for that sake, they don't even desire for liberation. So that is the highest caliber of pure heart the Bhakti Yogi carries. As Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in his Shikshashtakam, Nadhanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam va Jagadish Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhaktir Haituki Tvai. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. What I only want is this costless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth. So this is Bhakti Yoga. And pure devotees desire for such service only. So in this connection, Prabhupada tells a very nice, humorous story. See, after many years of penances, the yogi returns to his village, okay, and shows villagers his acquired siddhi. He is now able to walk on the river. It's called Laghima Siddhi. So Laghima Siddhi means an acquired skill by which one can walk on water or fly in the air or walk across the fire. So one villager, after seeing his Laghima Siddhi, he said, "You have gained knowledge worth 2 cents only. 2 पैसा भी चल उतना ही है आपका." That's what he was telling. I can cross the river. He said, but I can cross the river with the help of 2 cents, with the help of a boat. This is nothing special. And all the villagers started laughing at him. So you see, though this happens when we run behind achievements and get drifted from our goal of acquiring pure love for Krishna. See, whether it is related to improvement of one's economic status, social status, or even academic studies, or even attaining yogic powers, they are of no value if they are not dedicated in the service of Krishna. Sometimes people try different meditation methods and yogas, to overcome the anarthas like anger, greed, etc. But all such achievements also would not give us the ultimate bliss. So in that struggle of achievement, the so-called yogi, he forgets what his actual purpose is, which is actually selfless devotion. So Bhakti Yoga alone can guarantee us eternal bliss. And the joy of serving the Supreme Lord Krishna is above all these achievements. So the day as desire sprouts in our heart, that now whatever I have to do is for Krishna alone, that day Bhakti Yoga begins. And it has been proved time after time by all Vaishnava Acharyas, right? Who gave up everything just for satisfaction of Krishna. See, even today, life can be lived the Bhagavatam way. And Bhagavatam way of living is eternal and can be followed no matter how modern the world turns into. So let us all take the dust of the lotus feet of the Acharyas, Prabhupada, Krishna, right? And let us all strive to follow this Bhakti Yoga with full determination and attempt to desire service to the Lords, right? Birth after birth. So in this 12th chapter, devotional service is entitled Devotional Service. Very important chapter. Now, Krishna describes the transcendental science of devotional service, right? And the first verse starts with Arjuna asking Krishna how to do devotional service. And it is and the comparing how to do with the comparison with the impersonal Brahman. From the second verse, Krishna now is replying, confirming the superior position of the devotional service. So he says, Shri Bhagavan Vach Maya Veshamano Yemam Nitya Yukta Pasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Teme Yukta Kamamata. So Krishna is telling, those who fix their minds on my personal form and will always engage in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. So first point is, for a person in Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. And second is, whatever a pure devotee does, he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. And such action is in full samadhi. So they see the imperfection of the conditioned soul is that he is convinced that is something which he is actually not. He is an illusion. See, by the spell of Krishna's material energy, he thinks himself to be the material body. And the material things connected to the body to be his property. And in fact, all of it is like a dream which ends with the death of the material body. So to get satisfaction in this world, we try to grab onto the material things. But our contact with them always has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So we all look for lasting pleasure. But this is never achieved by exploiting the material nature. So the alternative to grabbing at this illusory energy, which by its nature always slips through our hands, right, is to grab towards the absolute truth, which is the governing principle behind the flickering material nature. So the material nature and energy is under the control of Supreme Lord, control of Krishna. And by his sanction only do we experience the fulfillment of our material endeavors. Unless his sanction, nothing moves, nothing happens. But better than keeping Krishna behind the curtain as our order supplier, Krishna, give me this, give me that. Better than that is to try to do something for Krishna's pleasure. So how to please the Lord and how to experience existence is not at all difficult. You might have seen. See, one has to connect with him through the method which Krishna has devised in Bhagavad-gītā and Bhagavatam. And also mainly in Bhagavatam, where his confidential devotees declare the Supreme Lord is personified by his transcendental sound. Bhagavatam 1:6-25. Read the beautiful verse. So you have to connect. See, if you go to a shop, electrical shop, buy electrical wires, right? So come home, you can twist it, cut it, whatever you want, you can do with that wire. But the moment that electrical wire is connected to the powerhouse, you will never touch it because it is now activated, right? Now it is fiery. You will get shocked. The moment it is connected, before connection, you could cut it out, switch. Similarly, when you are connected, that's why you can see so many people are criticizing you, fighting with you, so many things, agitating you, because you are not connected to Krishna. Just like that wire. But when the wire was connected to the powerhouse, nobody touches. Similarly, when you are connected to our powerhouse, who is that? Krishna. Then your devotional service becomes fiery and nobody can touch you. So simply by chanting Krishna's transcendental names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, we have direct contact with Krishna in his form as Nama Avatar. And says Krishna is Pavitram, supreme pure. So then by attaching with supreme pure, our spiritual senses, which we can perceive, they are also purified so that we can realize his presence. So pure devotee has succeeded in purifying or perfecting his Krishna consciousness to such a degree that he never wants even a moment of separation from Krishna. And that is the goal of chanting the holy names. See, even a few minutes dedicated to chanting Krishna's name daily, it will bring one towards realizing Krishna. So not to let a single moment pass without devoting one's activities to Krishna. It's certainly a mind-blowing instruction for one who is still clinging on to material desires. Don't let a single moment pass without devoting one's activities towards Krishna. Keep Krishna in the center. So Prabhupada gave his personal example to show that one can enter full Krishna consciousness even in the disturbed atmosphere of Kali Yuga. And by Krishna's grace and the grace of his devotee, this perfection is a real possibility for us today. In this material world, everybody hankers to be perfect. But real fact is nobody can be perfect. Because we have the four main defects: committing mistakes, cheating propensity, subject to illusion, and last but not the least, our senses are imperfect. So with these defects, how can we strive to be perfect? So only way to get perfection is to approach the supreme perfect person, Krishna. So we have done our material education, in some or so many fields, right? But when no one can claim to have perfect knowledge of the subject that we have studied, every day new concepts come up, right? And we still are in the process of learning. So whatever attempts we may try, we won't be perfect in our material existence. Only thing we can endeavor is to be perfect in devotional service of Krishna. That's why Krishna gave the definition of perfect to Arjuna in this 12.2 verse. What does he say? Those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. So Prabhupada said, no, for one in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. See, whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. So the Lord is Purnam, all perfect. Om Purnamadha Purnamidam. So whatever done for Krishna is also perfect. If you really are in a quest to become perfect, then simply do everything for Krishna. Do everything for Krishna. So just by adding Krishna to our day-to-day activity, we can be a perfectionist in the spiritual platform. So being engaged in the loving devotional service under the guidance of our spiritual master, simply by offering regularity obeisances unto the deity, simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, simply by eating the remnants of footsteps offered to the Lord, we can realize that nothing is more perfect than being under the lotus feet of Krishna. So we should pray, may Lord Krishna please help me in following his instructions of doing loving devotional service in order to attain the perfection in our lives. The general conception of this perfection is, or samadhi is, sitting at one place and doing meditation. But His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada clarifies this point very nicely, that samadhi is to remember the Lord always, even while performing our daily duties. That is perfection, that is samadhi. Remembering Krishna always, even performing our daily duties. So he says in the second verse, Maya Vesha Manaha. My Avesha Manaha is fixing the mind on Krishna. Pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna. Sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna. Or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. So such action is in full samadhi. So the words full samadhi mentioned by Prabhupada in this purport is worth meditating, right? Because Prabhupada explains this meaning of Maya Vesha Manaha, as samadhi by dedicating all our activities to Krishna. So Prabhupada has shown by his personal example how to think about Krishna and fix our mind upon him constantly. See, Prabhupada himself wrote over 80 books about Krishna. Besides establishing worldwide Hare Krishna movement, introducing very elegant deity worship of Radha and Krishna, Rath Yatra festivals of Lord Jagannath all over the world, Janmashtami festivals, Harinam Sankirtan, Prasadam distribution, Gurukula, farm communities, so many other projects. So he was constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness and provided all the ways and means for common people to take benefit of more and more association of devotees with the help of all these activities. So Prabhupada made very suitable arrangements to engage all the devotees in Krishna conscious activities. He's truly a father, eternal well-wisher, who has made arrangements for upcoming innumerable generations, right? So similarly, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is the father of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. This is a spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he had lived his entire life by fixing his mind on Krishna 24/7. He used to sleep only for 3 hours daily. He used to spend 8.5 hours in writing. He wrote 100 authorized spiritual books in his entire lifetime. 4.5 hours were dedicated to chanting and studying scriptures. Being in Grihastha Ashram, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, for most part of his life, he worked for 6 hours as a high court judge. So today we see many people saying that they are busy due to so many reasons. But here we see a high court judge dedicating 90% of his time to Krishna in spite of being a Grihastha Ashram. My Guru Maharaj, he always says, one should have a broomstick in one hand and Bhagavatam in another. In this way, we do our materialist duties meticulously and also dedicate our activity to Krishna. See, all the acharyas have lived their life as per Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad-gītā. So that is why they were so dear to Krishna and were able to accomplish so much in such a less time. If we all commit ourselves, right, even 1% of what our acharyas have done in their entire life, then it can be called as a success for our life. Krishna is Bhava Grahi Janardana. He looks at Bhava with which we perform the service, not just service alone. So Krishna doesn't see what food is offered to him, but is pleased by the feelings with which we offer him the food. So whatever activity we do, being it to going to office, working on computer, going to school, doing a teaching job, administrative job, cleaning house, all the household chores, daily in the morning we do. If we do it with the feeling to please Krishna, then we can also be in full samadhi, which in turn will give eternal happiness. So activities in Krishna consciousness gives eternal, everlasting peace and happiness. That's what we want. We want peace and happiness, right? So activities in Krishna consciousness, full concentration, gives everlasting peace and happiness. So let us all pray at the feet of Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, that we get a conviction of fixing our mind constantly on the Lord by engaging ourselves in devotional service. So this chapter, devotional service of 12th chapter Bhagavad-gītā, very, very important chapter. You can still go through the whole 20 verses are there. Wonderful verses. If possible, to memorize this whole verses and the translation. Because this is a very basic devotional service, very nicely given in this 12th chapter. So I stop here. Thank you, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhischa. Kripa sindhu patitanam pavane. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat pranam. Dhanvat pranam.
Dhanvat pranam. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat pranam. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Dhanvat
Dhanvat
Prabhu.
Pranam,
Dhanvat
Prabhuji.
pranam.
Hare Krishna
Thank
to
you
all
very much.
devotees assembled here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sridhar Prabhu, for this opportunity to glorify the Lord and purify myself. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat pranam. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.